Yeah, we're missing it. It just doesn't feel right.
No.
You don't have that. You don't have the Drew intro there.
Can you phone in?
But thank you, everybody, for tuning in to another episode of the Midwest Racks and Rods Outdoor Show. I am your host, Scott Biskabing, and to my left, your right, is team member Jesse Bricco. Excuse me. Words is hard already. It's that redemption bourbon you brought.
Good.
And to my right, your left, is also team member, the incomparable, Mikey T. Mike Thelen in the house, everybody. There it is.
There we go.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining us for another episode. I know we've been on a couple-week hiatus, but, you know, it's hunting season, and, you know, a lot of us have been gone on hunting trips and, you know, just being always outdoors, right?
It's busy.
It is a busy time of year. So the last episode we did was our Deer Camp Special 2024. And since then, we had the 9-day gun season. Illinois had both of their gun seasons, their shotgun seasons. It seems like from what I've been reading, not that I've done a real deep dive on it yet, but the numbers are up this year. At least in Wisconsin here, in terms of the amount of deer harvested. Is that what you guys have been reading too? Or?
From what I've seen, the numbers, a couple thousand from
like,
last year.
Like almost 4 or 5% up, which is pretty crazy. You know, I've been of the thought that the deer numbers are, in terms of harvest numbers, are what they are, mostly because of the fact that we just don't have as many hunters out there as we used to.
Well, didn't they say the numbers of licenses were up too?
They might have been. That I didn't see.
Okay.
That I would, you know, and I should have actually had Luke bring up that graphic there. But that would be great to hear. You know, we definitely need more hunters out there in the field. But every year you get certain guys, and when I say certain guys or certain hunters or whatever, I think it's based on where they're hunting at.
Right.
That they're like, well, there's no deer. We have, you know, umpteen days hunting in a row, all day sits, you know, saw one deer or one fawn, you know, whatever. I think that could be the case for sure. Regionally, you know, depending upon what part of the state you're hunting in. For me, I didn't really see any shortage of deer in north central Wisconsin or central Wisconsin where we hunt and that. But it's primarily farm country.
Yeah,
you know, it's farmland, central farmland zone. Although we don't necessarily have a ton of farms directly right around us per se, but
No, but I think it was even, on average, it was probably even more active. Did you see a lot of good deer? But I mean, it was more active. You certainly saw more deer this year.
A lot of chasing
than the last
yeah,
few.
Right.
No, we saw a lot more this year compared to last year too. Just, you know, as far as bucks wise, it actually went up from where we are.
Yeah.
I mean, we're only 1 hour from you guys.
Right. Yeah, you're not too far away at all. I also think there's something to be said too about the way some guys hunt during gun season too. I don't think it's the same as it used to be either.
No.
And I think we've touched on this subject in the past, you know, in previous episodes over the years, and that after the gun deer season, there's a lot more food plots out there, a lot more guys sitting in box blinds over food plots. There's less deer drives going on. I mean, there's still plenty of that going on, but it's not like it used to be.
No.
We got some numbers from Opaka County. They are up 15% over last year, according to Bob Zarda.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, and I believe that. I definitely. I felt like the fact that it was a later season, as far as being as late as the 9-day firearm season can be. This was it. Like it can't be any later than what it was, just based on the way they structure it, with Thanksgiving being that Thursday in the middle of it, you know, in between the 2 weekends.
I liked it better later than the last couple of years.
I think there's something to be said about that. I think our deer numbers, that what we were seeing, and in years past by us, we have not seen the deer numbers that we saw this year, just on opening weekend. For example, the stand I was sitting in on opening morning, what did I text you, by like 7:15? I'm like, I've already had $5 and a doe walk by, and there, I mean, nothing was chasing.
Right.
I saw one buck solo, and then a doe, and then the other $4 were just kind of all just walking, not chasing. They're just kind of meandering around, walking through. I don't even know if they end up going the same direction the doe went. So I don't think it was a rut thing by any means. And then later on, that same day on opening day, what did I see? 8 or 9 of them walking together, a mixture of like 4 does and $5. No chasing, no bird dogging around, nothing like that. Like they were grouped up just on a slow walk.
September hunt.
Yeah. And in fact, I got excited. I'm like, all right, here's some more deer coming in and that. I'm like, no. There's a shooter in that. And I got a 6-pointer kind of standing right in front of him and that. And the shooter kind of turned and went a slightly different direction than the way the rest of the deer were going, which I also found peculiar. They were a good distance away, a good 80 yards, so they didn't pick me off or anything in the tree.
Right.
None of them really got spooked or anything. And the 6-pointer just kind of stood there, then broadside for like 3-4 minutes.
Usually how it goes.
Yeah, right. And that, it is what it is. But I think 22 deer in total I saw, and I only sat for a few hours in the morning and a couple hours in the afternoon. 22 deer in the course of, I would say, maybe 4.5 hours, 5 hours tops.
Okay.
On opening day.
It's a good day.
Partially because of the fact that I was spending a lot of time helping to drag deer out of our swamp, and between his buck and my brother's doe and another guy in our hunting party, Jerry, shot a nice 9-pointer down in the swamp. And of course, so 2 of them are down our swamp where you're going up ridges like this and that.
Geez.
And that's, when you hunt anywhere near there, that's where they always run. It's super thick in there until you get to the bottom, and then it's all wet and that. And there's no shortcut out of this thing.
Up.
It's like, do you want to go up through that thick stuff, up through that thick stuff, or up through that thick stuff? Because there's no
Easy
opening anywhere. Even if you were to happen to take a deer trail,
Still thicket.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy thick. And so during archery season, a lot of times I will hunt on that edge up towards the top and that in between that and an alfalfa field during the earlier season, because a lot of your bigger bucks and that are bedding down there. As it worked out for my brother, the doe that the buck was chasing, that's what our buddy Jerry had said, is that it was kind of not chasing, but like following the doe, kind of
Not dogging her, just
not maybe bird dogging a little bit, maybe bumping her along, but nothing crazy.
Okay.
It wasn't like a full on chase by any means, but he was definitely right there with her, and he shot the buck, and then the doe shot up out of the swamp and that up where my brother was, and
Nice.
he shot that. My brother also had a shot at that same buck
no.
earlier and missed, but there was a hunter in the neighboring property that was walking the fence line, going out to his stand at like 7:15 in the morning on
What?
opening morning. Yeah.
A little too much.
I don't know what it was, but my brother was not happy about it. He's like, he had to have seen me. He had to have even seen this buck.
Right.
'Cause it was like right on our power line and that. And it just is one of those things, like if there's bad luck, my brother's going to find it for sure when it comes to that kind of stuff. But he was fortunate enough to get that doe and that.
It wasn't a loss.
No, it wasn't a loss. He would have loved to have shot in that nice 9-pointer that Jerry got. But
Absolutely.
still somebody in our group got it. And then I don't, like I said, I had texted you around 7:15, you and my brother. I said, yeah, I've already had $5 and a doe walk by in that. And you were, you didn't say it in the text, but I found out later you were a little.
Well, yeah.
You're holding out?
Of course.
Well, it's like, the sun came up.
You're
Nothing-
napping?
There was no first time, first light kind of thing. It's like, okay. And I get the text. It's like, it's great, but it's like,
When am I going to see something?
I already missed that first time. You already saw a lot of them. I'm like, no, is it going to be another couple hours, until until they get there again. And yeah, you just kind of, that's just me though. You know, you're sitting there, it's like, this was supposed to be a good spot. It's supposed to be a good spot.
Yeah.
And yeah, it wasn't.
And lo and behold,
Not too much later than
like it often happens for you.
it does.
You find that horseshoe, you turn it sideways and shove it right up your ass.
You second guess yourself a lot more?
The only deer I see turns out to be a good one.
Then you're done the rest of the weekend.
Yeah. No, it's just the spot. A lot of big squirrels walk around. You just saw like that group of them over there. And you're just sitting there watching it for the longest time. And then, White Pine, 80, 85 yards away, was moving, but there literally were squirrels right there. And so I'm like, I just assumed it was
squirrels.
that. And then all of a sudden, but I looked away and then you'd catch just some other color going up and down. You know, it turned out it was the face just going, you still couldn't see if it was a buck or whatever. And I'm like, I think that's, I got out the binoculars. I'm like, well, it is a deer, you know? So I'm waiting and thinking it'll come out. And we had talked the night before and it was kind of like, we all kind of were on the same, like, look, we just want deer, you know, last couple of years haven't gone well. And as far as just getting deer during gun season, for sure.
Except for this guy. I was
Yeah.
just like, no, I'm going to be picky.
So like you weren't even like, oh, there's a deer. You said you were going to shoot deer, you know.
There's
so
your
you
chance.
just got the gun up, you're ready. Okay. There's like no nerves at all, which was kind of different. You weren't thinking like, well, okay, well, I got to get a look at it and see if is it something I want to shoot or not. It was like, nope, it's a deer. So I'm
gonna shoot it.
for it to come out, and who came out, and it was just far enough away. I couldn't tell. I'm like, well, it's a buck, but I couldn't tell what it was specifically. But yeah, and then once it came out, it was kind of behind a tree, and that's allowed me the time to reach up and get the gun and everything, and waited, and there was a relatively small window, but I mean, it came out and just, pretty much walked out, and then I shot it. Like there wasn't a time to even realize what it was. I mean, enough to get the scope on it, but then it came out, and then it started to, like, it was going to go back down this little hill, and then it would have been gone, or it at least would have been facing away from me by that point. So you only had like one moment.
This
It's like,
shot or
nope, there's a
nothing.
shot, aim, shoot. And then, it wasn't until I heard it crash, which was the most satisfying sound. Like it's down, you know, you hit it, it's down. And it wasn't until I walked up to it and saw what it actually really
Oh, it wasn't a doe.
Now, was that before or after I had texted you if you shot? That was before.
Yeah,
So
it was
I had-
before because I was.
Right, because I'm giving it a little time because I do that so often. In that even when we're bow hunting, right? There's times where we're maybe, and it doesn't happen often, but it's happened in the past where we may be only 100 yards away from each other, right?
You can hear a bull.
And in fact, earlier this season, we both heard this, what it sounded like. It sounded like somebody had shot an arrow and you heard that like diaphragm, that thwap, going through in that. And it was coming from like his direction. So I'm waiting because I know I've done this in the past where I'm like, I'll text like right away and, I won't get a response forever. And I get it because you're following, you're trying to see where it went. You're trying to focus on, exactly where was the last spot I saw all these different things. But, as you're the other guy, you're like, I heard him shoot and I knew, I knew exactly where he was hunting and I knew the direction that shot
He's the
came
only
from.
one over there.
He's the only one over there. I mean, yes, there's other properties, but this was far too close to be
Right.
off unless somebody was hunting right on a property line or something. But I was quite certain it was him and that. But I just said, I waited a little bit, then I texted and I said, did you shoot? And I'm waiting and waiting and waiting for a response. And I get a response back. Hell yeah, I did. Big exclamation point. I'm like,
Mike's
So I
excited.
knew, like at that point, I knew like we were dealing with a good buck. And that I said, buck ? And he goes, yeah, I think it's a pretty decent one. And then I don't know how long later, all of a sudden you sent a picture. And I'm like, decent buck? What are you talking about? I'm like, that's a freaking slammer, dude.
Yeah.
Drew Biskiming with a comment. Decent buck, right, Mike? Question mark.
Right.
It's okay.
It's an okay one.
Right. In fact, why don't you, if you want to just pull up a picture of it there. Yeah,
See how happy he is?
that's a decent buck. I saw the picture and I'm like, I wasn't sure exactly what buck it was at first because obviously that was a picture I took, and that I should have pulled up the picture that you had sent me, and I still didn't really know until I don't know, probably well after I had seen the buck for a while that which buck it was. I had an encounter with this same buck during archery season. And it was early rut. It was like November 1st or something like that. It was like 11:30. I was going back to my truck, and then I was going to take a little break and that for like an hour or so and get back out. And I'm walking out, and I kicked that buck up.
He was bedded.
Yeah, he was bedded. He was bedded down on a field edge and that. Not like a food plot or anything like that. It's actually kind of getting overrun by wild raspberries.
Oh,
and,
okay.
Tons of milkweed and that. But it's just kind of this open field, an area that we are planning on putting a food plot in.
Nice.
But I kicked him up, and I'm like, holy cow, that's a really nice buck. I'm like, looks like a 10-pointer, and he's running across the field. And then when I'm back at my truck, I get my camo off and that, and kind of hang out a little bit to see if he's going to come out and meet me. And I'm in my street clothes, and I look over, and there's another buck standing now maybe 75 yards away from my truck and that. I'm like,
Wow.
is there a way that I can
Stalk this?
get on this thing? And that by the time I snuck around by my truck back over to the other side, he had kind of bounded off. I'm like, it was at that point on, I didn't come out for the rest of the season. It was all day sits from there on out. Because I was like, oh, hell no.
You're not having that happen again.
Right, no. I'm like, that's $2 in that. One, obviously, I think I bumped him. I kicked him up. And the other one was just kind of cruising around and that. And, for many, many years, I would do all day sits. At 47, going on 48 years old, that's hard to do. That is, and regardless how much action you see in that or you don't see, it is really, really hard to sit in that stand from sun up to sundown.
Parts of your body start hurting.
It really does. And just the mind, your mind, you're looking at the same stuff over and over and over again. But I did it all season until I shot my 10-pointer in that during archery season. And again, I didn't see a single deer that day until I called that buck out at 4:15 because it was dead quiet out. And I'm like, I'm just going to do a few bleats and grunts because I'm like, if there's anything in the thick, bedded or anywhere near, I'm going to try to draw it out now. It was about maybe 4:10 in that.
Let some know you're over
good
there.
half hour, 35 minutes or so before last light. I'm like, I'd rather see if I can draw it in now than, it come in on its own and I not get a shot
2
at
minutes
it.
before dark.
Right, exactly. And sure enough, whether I was the reason, if my calling is what brought him in, but he pretty much came in on a rope at me, and I got the shot off or whatever. But
Nice.
I digress. Back to Mike's buck. We had only had a handful of pictures of him throughout the season. On any of my cameras, the last one I had was October 17th, I believe. I think during that cold front that we had in October.
Yeah, I think I had one earlier in October. We had more pictures of another deer that was also really good, but it was really, really thin. But that one I had a lot of pictures on that side of the land of, but
Yeah.
no, everything kind of dried up when we were going up for bow hunting. And that first day we went, I saw a lot. I saw 3 really good ones that were all well far away from me with no shot in that same area. But then the subsequent weekends after that, you didn't really, I just saw small bucks or fawns. But yeah, there was a number of them. The one thing actually that once I got it back from the guy, he's like, oh yeah, he's like, it's a really rare buck you got. And I'm like,
Really?
why? Like, why? He's like, oh, it's got there's an extra tooth or tusk he said on the front.
fang, yeah.
like a little
Really?
fang. He's
That's
like,
pretty cool.
He's like, that's like 1 in 10,000 or I'm like, well, I never. I mean, you didn't see that when it's
There's
laying in the dirt, but it's
Yeah.
like once he took all the stuff off, it's like, well, yeah. He's like, yeah, it's not even a tooth. He's like,
Yeah, here, let's see if I can kind of, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this or not, but this is where that fang would be.
Oh,
where
yeah.
it is, right there. And that it's probably not going to show up there, but. And then you said you looked it up too.
yeah, I looked it up quick, and it's like, yeah, for a whitetail to have that, it's like, they said, 1 to 10,000 to 1 in 20,000. I'm like, well, that's a pretty big range, but 1 in 10,000 is still pretty,
It's pretty cool.
still pretty unique. So,
Right. Yeah, definitely very unique. And that's something that and a lot of people are going to be like, oh, why didn't you get a full mount in that? But now with having a Euro mount and that you can actually display that it actually has that,
Snaggletooth.
And that's the exact reason why you didn't do a shoulder mount, right? Yeah.
The exact reason.
Despite all the grief I got, yeah, there was a couple of reasons.
That's the first thing I asked when I got here. Like,
I know.
Is that your deer? What's it doing here?
But yeah, a lot of cool things about him. First off, he has got the broken off main beam here. So he would have came out a couple inches,
Probably at least
if he
2
would have been
inches.
symmetrical, another 2.5 inches on this side. He's got the split G2 here. Looked like next year he might have split there. He was starting to split on this G3 here. Almost looked like it maybe here
Is there
on
a
this
drop
one.
tine too coming down?
And then right here we got this little nipple right there. Mike likes to play with it. That he might have ended up being having a drop, but what I really liked about him is his brows. Nice big thick brows. They kind of curve back a little bit. Really thick, carries the mass real nicely throughout his entire rack there. I mean, almost all the way to the tips there. Nothing spindly about him at all. Just a really
He
cool
pushed
buck.
some deer around it, I bet.
Oh yeah, for sure. Now you had seen another buck during that first weekend or 4 days that we were up in November, if I'm remembering correctly, and that's not him though,
No,
because you
No,
said that buck was the
that
biggest
one-
buck you had ever seen,
that's the one where,
like on our properties.
yeah,
Wow.
I might have seen that one. It was too far away that weekend, but this one, it was a doe ran out maybe 70 yards out in front of you, and then another one ran up behind it about the same size, and I'm like, okay, that's another small buck, chasing that doe. Okay, nothing. So I've kind of watched them, and they kind of went around this area and came around through there, and all of a sudden you heard this noise, and by the time you turned around, this buck came flying out of this little thick spot and ran like right past me.
Oh, geez.
And then went over there on the other side of some stuff, bushes and small scrub trees and stuff like that, and stopped, but you couldn't see. You just see the back end. And then I'm like, I'm thinking, oh my God, I saw it for a second. I'm like, there was
You knew it was a good
antlers coming out of antlers. It was like really, really weird. And and then it kind of went off, and I'm like, come on. Cause it could still come around a little bit if the other two deer that it was chasing had already ran up the hill towards where you were kind of. And I'm like, okay, it gave up. Now it'll just kind of slowly come back, where it came from. I'm like, this is going to be perfect. I'm like all ready to go. And yeah, it
Didn't happen.
Started just a little bit to curve that way. And then it must've heard something, and it turned, and then like started running off towards where those deer went again. Not that I got spooked. It just, something caught its ear over that way, and it was looking, and then it kind of went off that way again, and it never came back. But yeah, that was, because I came back from Scott. I'm like, holy cow. Like, that
No
was the
picture?
biggest deer I've ever seen in my life, like in real life in front of you. And yeah, so we went back and found one old picture where, you could see it was like where it came off, and there was like a whole nother tip that came off
Right.
and then split. And it
Yeah.
was really tall.
Like
and
almost
then-
like another main
main
beam in that.
Nobody got anything like that around you guys?
Not that I know of. I mean, not that I've seen or anything like that, but we try to keep the cameras running for a while here yet, and see what makes it through. But yeah, that's the thing is when you get bucks of that caliber and that, like, for them to daylight, and we've had that. I mean, so we're notorious for shooting 3.5-year-old bucks, and that, like, that's kind of like where we're happy. And when a buck gets 3.5 and that. And with that being said, there's also plenty of them that make it through. It's not like we shoot the only to 3.5 or 4.5-year-old bucks on our property. Plenty of them make it through in that. And it's just now it's a matter of putting in some more of these kill plots.
Right.
In that. Because there is a fair amount of hunting pressure on neighboring properties in that. More so during gun season. I mean, well, you never know during bow, right? Because you're not hearing shots or anything like that. Although we did hear that one I was just talking about. Like, it definitely sounded like one.
I mean, how close
No,
are
you
you guys
sounded
to with
both
your
parts.
neighbors? Like, do you guys talk?
Yeah, some of them we do, and some of the other guys. And that there is one property to the east of us in that we believe isn't being hunted. And that you had contacted them, and they live in like way southern Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Because we had to go recover his buck from last year over
yeah.
there. So he had contacted them, found out who it was and stuff. And they're like, oh, yeah, no problem. Go ahead,
Possible more land to hunt?
I don't know. We have talked about that a little bit. But there's people that know where we hunt in that. Having worked trade shows and stuff, there's been some stuff where there's people that either watch the show or that. And so we don't like to talk too much table talk on that kind of stuff. But people know, and we, like I said, we have another property down the road in that too. And that was really successful this year as well. Mm-hmm. Nice 8-pointer. One of our guys got over there. Another one, got a really nice 11-pointer. Wow. On late Monday afternoon of the 9-day. It's a central Wisconsin. It's a really, really good landscape and habitat for white-tailed deer. It's a lot of farmland, but you also have all those oaks and pines and things like that.
Yeah, it's not just hunting up in forest.
Right. It's a really good combination of everything that a deer is looking for.
They don't need to travel very far to get everything they need.
Now, with that said, there's places in southeast Wisconsin here. There's been some absolute slammers taken this year, as there always is in that. And here, where we're at here in Washington County, there's been some absolute studs. Giant bucks taken and that, like we get every year. This is kind of, I would say Washington County really flies under the radar. The biggest problem with Washington County, in terms of like people wanting to come to the county, and that there's just not a vast amount of public land.
Mm-hmm. No, it's all private and cities.
It's a lot of private properties and that, smaller properties and things like that. And then what you do have for public in that is,
hounded.
You have like the Jackson Marsh, or you go over to Ozaki County, you got
Allington,
the bog and that, which again are good in that, but they get piss pounded, big time. And Teresa Marsh, things like that. There's a lot of great marshland, and there's great bucks taken out of there too. Kettle moraine. Washington County really doesn't have the kettle moraine in it, though.
Oh, no?
No, that's getting into Fond du Lac County.
Oh, okay.
Maybe the very northern tip or whatever of the northern kettle moraine and the southern kettle moraine. I guess you have maybe a little bit down there, Richfield area. Well, yeah, Kewaskum, if you're on the very far north side, you're starting to hit in the Fond du Lac County, and that's where, the vast majority of the kettle moraine is in Fond du Lac.
Gotcha.
And that. So the northern kettle moraine. So, and I'll tell you, I've hunted it plenty of times over the years and stuff. And there's some great bucks in there, and there's great bucks taken every single year out of the kettle moraine. But I'm going to start getting some messages here from guys like, stop talking about it. It's like everybody, it's like in Illinois, Joe Davies and stuff was always like, the big spot for guys to hunt and stuff and that. And then it gets downplayed a little bit, and everybody gets kind of hush hush. You know how it is. It's just like with fishing. It's just like fishing, right? Guys blurring out the backgrounds, not wanting to give off exactly where they're
ice fishing. It happens a lot more.
I would probably think so.
You're limited on where you want to go. It's not like you can just turn your boat on and go.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. How far are you going to access? You know, how much ice you have. How are you going to get out there? You're going to hoof it because there's only 4 inches of ice, or you're just going to be that dumbass that drives a Jeep Cherokee out on Puckaway with 4 inches of ice, and then sinks his Jeep out there.
I think they seen that picture across seas.
Oh my gosh, it's all over the place. Like, I wish I would have gotten the video on that and just started a TikTok
Not
just
in it?
based on that. No, no, just the guy over there just videoing. What was funny that day, because it was on like the Wisconsin Ice Fishing Report or something
Yeah.
like that. So it was like,
I was ice fishing, I think.
yeah, you were. So there was, I don't know, whatever, like 11 o'clock, noon or whatever, there was the picture and that. And then it was 5-6 hours later, same guy posted, and here's your result, and the front end of that thing is down in the water. Like, come on, you gotta.
And everybody's making videos and music videos of it.
Right, you gotta. I mean, hey, it's a great example of like what not to do, you know.
That's why you did it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, let's take my Jeep. When I say Jeep, I mean it was a pretty,
SUV.
Yeah, it was a newer Jeep. I mean, it wasn't like
Some money
a
right there.
88 Jeep Cherokee, you know. Some guys, you know, beater box. But yeah, I know you risk it, but I mean you're going out by foot.
Foot, light gear,
Right.
minimum of everything.
Exactly. But we'll get into some more of that talk here in a little bit. But so Mike, you got that buck. What else did you see during archery season besides that other one, that really big one? I mean, it was a pretty active
I did see a lot
November, I would say.
of chasing. I mean, it was all smaller bucks bumping small does.
Humping,
one
humping
first-
small does or bumping?
Bumping.
Oh,
Bump B.
Trying to hump. Just bumping.
yeah.
But no, that first day of the rut hunt when we went, that's when I saw like, it could have been that one or at least something similar to it, was way off, but you could see that was actually grunting and like pushing a deer around. And that was the first time where I texted him like, or I told you later or something. I'm like, it was grunting, but I didn't think it was a grunt because honestly, the thing lasted like 30 seconds. It was just like, and I'm like, well, it's got to be something else.
Like one of
I
those
thought it was a
kinda
grunt, and then
growls.
all it stopped, and then it did it again. I'm like, man,
Now you know what to do when you're
it was unique because you knew that deer was coming back because you could hear it, and it's like it just grunted for like 30 seconds straight. But that was kind of like trying to push, not chasing it, but just like moving it, and then it would kind of run off, and then it would just kind of hang around, and then it would kind of decide to start walking. The other one would, the doe would kind of run off a little bit.
That wasn't slickback, was it?
No, slickback is.
You're still after him.
That one came behind me 2 days in a way or 2 days in a row, plus one of the following weekends. It
Jeez.
took the same path behind me and angled off that direction. I'm like, that's one of the oldest deer we have on the land. Probably.
Yeah, I mean, that we visually know of. I mean, we know that he is, without a doubt, a minimum of 4.5 years old. Minimum. And that's based on year after year after year after year
You guys hunt.
of seeing him and pictures of him. And we know this is the same buck in that. So there's actually a very good real possibility that he's probably more 5.5 years old.
Nice.
In that. And when you say nice, so this buck has got a rack of all about this big. And he's got tines that curl back like this. And then he's got all sorts of weird, like little sticker points in that.
That's the one you guys were talking about last year. Around
Yeah.
gun
Oh, yeah.
season.
Like that
You've seen
buck.
it.
That buck has been a part of 2 of my last 3 bucks. Like he single-handedly helped me get 2 of my last 3 bucks. He wasn't around for me with this buck. I'm surprised because I was like, well, if I'm going to draw something out, it's going to be him. You know, like I can't even say what I want to say just because it's just not really PC. But this buck is, I don't.
You almost don't want to shoot him. It's like good luck for the land.
So he's got this really stumpy neck, this thick, like so much shorter of a neck than what most whitetails would have.
Okay.
And he's just not growing antlers. And like I said, at minimum 4.5, which brings up an interesting topic, right? Because when somebody posts something and says it's a cull buck, and that, I shot this because it was a cull buck, and that they get absolutely chastised for it because supposedly there's no such thing as a cull buck. There's no such thing. Like all bucks can turn into something else, and like you can, and taking this deer out of the herd isn't going to affect the genetics on a property or anything like that, because as we know, most of a buck's genetics in terms of antler growth, and that comes from the doe anyways. About I believe the statistic is 80%. And if Jason Schrader, I see you're on, if you're on, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's 80%
Okay.
comes from the doe, and only 20% comes from the buck. So it's like, well, you don't want that buck, spreading its gene around and that, and screwing up your herd and whatnot. But a lot of it's like, when guys say, well, he's only a spike or he's only a little forkhorn, you'll never turn into anything. Well, that's been proven wrong time and time again, that a spike buck can turn into a booner. Like that's 100% can be the case.
Right.
Does it always happen? No, but it certainly can. So, but what I will say is when you have a buck like this, that is at minimum 4.5 years old, possibly 5.5, would you call this a cull buck? Now, I'm not, again, knowing that he's really not probably going to pass on much of his genetics on to new fawns and things like that. I'm not overly concerned first off, if a doe even lets him breed.
He's not the cream of the crop out there, huh?
No. But at the same time, like if you shot that buck and you call it a cull buck, what would be, what would be the reaction to a buck like that we know? In fact, if anything, he was more impressive, I think, 2 years ago. Wouldn't you say?
So he's going down now.
And when I say impressive, like this rack is all of like this big, but it's just like, so if this is a side profile of the deer, right? And these are his ears, the antlers, his main beams go backwards. That's why I call them slick back, because they're like slick back. And then he'll like maybe have a point or two off of there. And then he's got like a clump of like all these sticker points at his bases, like for where like his brows.
That's just cool look. It sounds cool.
Well, and that's the thing is like so he's a buck that we've considered like, Mike's like, I'll shoot him. He's like, I'll Euro mount that. Like,
You're one of that.
Right. Like,
Exactly. What do I know? Yeah. But no, it is getting different though, because this year the pictures, it's like, it's him, but it's more like going backwards. It's getting thinner. The antlers seem to be getting thinner, and I was trying to look, it's more like after you mount your turkey feet, and you just kind of like, more like that. It's like,
shrink.
it's getting more of a weird, like pimply, like pointy thing. And it's not,
I know.
when it started
I
out, it
should
was a
have
little
pulled
more
up a picture.
thicker, just going backwards, and it was neat. But yeah, it's starting to kind of
almost like get smaller. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe he's even older than we think he is. Here's the thing about this buck though, is
the way he grunts.
yeah, because he'll just go trotting through the woods like, like it's
Conversation with himself.
Oh, it's very strange.
Your mascot.
He comes into grunt calls very frequently. The bladed 8 here, when I got him, he was hung up on the ridge. I got him to stop with a grunt and a snort wheeze, and he bristled up in that, but he would not come down off the ridge, come down to give me a shot. So I kind of turned away and gave a couple grunts off to the side, right? And that like softer, make it, seem like it's a little further away, make him try to come down. He just stood there forever. It seemed like, I felt like at least 10 minutes, at least. Lo and behold, here I come.
Well, that's not the one I want.
Here comes Slickback in that.
Of course.
And I had seen him earlier that morning. So he hadn't been probably a half hour or so ago. So he wasn't too far away, obviously. And I was hunting close to some bedding area. But he comes out and he walks right underneath my stand and he stops. And that was enough to now get him to come off of the ridge and walk down
You see another deer.
because he heard the snort wheeze and then he's like, this guy, really? I'm going to show him what time it is. I'm going to show him what's up. So he comes down and he's, got his ears not fully pinned back, but he's a little bristled up. And he comes down and he stops. And now they're just at a stand up, but where he stops is 25 or 28 yards. No, broadside. Game over. He ran 65 yards, just giving me an absolute paint trail. And that awesome slam dunk. The next year, this buck right here, actually, he, same thing. So I got multiple bucks out in the thick out in front of me and that I can see them moving around, kind of bumping this doe around. Slickback's over there too. I grunt. He comes in, stops on the trail and that, and it was enough. Again, I snort wheezed. He stopped, spun a 180, bristled up, and came walking in right down the path. And
Picture perfect.
Again, and it was because I had this other buck decoy there, essentially a live decoy.
Eventually, he's going to die.
And I'm like, I mean, Mike, I go by all means. If you get a shot at him, you can take him. I don't think I can do it. Like that's my hunting buddy.
He's part of the group.
Right. He has helped me kill 2 really nice bucks in that. And this year, I think I only saw him once. Had a couple pictures. He just hasn't been as photogenic as he has been in years past. But you saw him probably. I saw him once. You saw him multiple times. You said, right?
Yeah, kind of taking the same path behind me, but yeah,
Right.
that was partially why I went up gun and wanted to clean out that area because I'm like, if that thing walks behind me again,
So
I
this-
want to have a shot.
You got
now I
everything
can
about
shoot.
bringing-
I couldn't, even if their trees were cleared out, it was too far away for archery. But yeah, with a gun, I'm like, well, if he just takes that same path, I can easily take a shot at him.
Right. And the thing of it is, so this is year 4, for sure, that we know. Now, we could probably go back, and probably not, because I delete a lot of pictures and stuff like that. I mean, but I think if I would have kept everything and I really scoured through and that, I'm sure we probably could have found like a spike buck where his antlers are kind of slightly pointing backwards or something like that.
Day one.
From his first year even. But at minimum, there is without a shadow of a doubt that this buck is a 4.5-year-old buck. And you can't tell me that this buck is ever going to turn in anything.
At that old, I mean, you've already seen what he's been the last couple of years. He hasn't changed.
In fact, this year he's probably the least impressive, and not that he was ever impressive, other than just unique in that. I'd be curious to know what you guys think about that. And is there such a thing as a cull buck? Maybe cull isn't the right word, because culling it, like when people say cull buck, I think what they're trying to get at is like you're trying to take it out of the breeding circle, in that you're trying to not let that buck pass on its genetics. Again, with what we know, that's really not the case. But what do you guys think? Is that a buck that's ever going to turn anything? I'd also like to know is, have you ever had a buck, another really weird, unique buck on one of your properties that you've gotten pictures of or that you've taken? Because we had another one, and this was quite some years ago. That was the broccoli buck.
Yeah.
Broccoli or cauliflower, whatever you want to say. And I know I still have pictures of it, and I will share it with you guys here in an upcoming post.
That's pretty cool.
But he had this one side where it looked like a stalk of broccoli
Jesus.
or cauliflower.
Yeah, just a little.
Probably his brother
stand-up
Came
little
up
stick
and then
just a big knob right now.
it turned into, and it was pretty big. I mean, I would say the knob was about the size of my fist, and that with the stalk about the size of broccoli or cauliflower,
Jesus.
just sticking out. And that, I mean, so let us know.
Didn't look injured or anything, like on that side, or like you got hit?
I mean, I'm sure there's probably something to that, as there often is with, when you have abnormalities, it's, it's supposed to be the opposite side. So if the racks mess up on the left side, it's got some sort of injury, probably on its right side.
Okay.
But I don't know if it's 100% on that, but that's typically what they say,
I think we only saw him that year, though, right?
Yeah, only that year.
Either
right.
grew into something normal next year or
right.
didn't make it. But
Exactly. That was the only. It was just that one year. We had quite a few pictures of him in that. I mean, we had that buck with the bad hoof
yeah, that's right.
from a few years ago, and it was a buck I really wanted to shoot too. Like, he had a really cool rack. He was just like really tall. His one side was kind of messed up, but he was really super tall, just crazy, not wide, but just real narrow in that. And it took us till maybe October, and I'm like, Mike, do you notice something? And I started, and because I figured it out, and then I sent all these pictures, right, to Mike. I'm like, what do you see the same in every one of these pictures? Every single time his left front leg was up off the ground. But you look at a picture, you're like, oh, he's just taking a step.
You don't think anything of it?
And then in picture after picture after picture, and his hoof was like that long.
Jesus.
Like, he had some sort of like fungus or some sort of abscess or infection or something like that in his hoof, where like it looked pretty straight. I think it might have curled a little bit at the end, but it was long, and in every picture. And we had him all summer long. He was so photogenic all over the property. And that, I'm like, I was so excited. And then it was like a week before opening weekend of archery season. Never, ever saw him again.
Jeez.
Whether like he eventually, maybe coyotes got him, they caught up to him, or he just died of natural causes, or car, whatever, who knows. But we had them all over the place.
Drew says all bucks can be valuable to the health of the herd, so to speak, call buck or not.
Is that a question or a statement? The way, I don't know how you read that
Statement.
statement.
All bucks can be valuable to the health of the herd, so to speak.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, because they're not, I mean, unless it's got CWD, I guess.
Only way to know.
Right.
Got to kill it.
Right, exactly. Look, what do we have for time here real quick? All right. We want to get into Jesse's buck here, and I think now would be a good time to go ahead and take a break. And then we'll come back. We're going to talk about Jesse and his bucks. You shot 2 nice bucks this year.
One
And
might
that-
have been a call buck.
Cole buck. I knew that was coming. Like, wait a second here.
Hunter's was better.
But, oh, yes, and we're getting into Hunter Bricco's buck as well. So stick with us, guys. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Go ahead, refresh your drink, grab another brewski, and we'll be back in 5.
What is an eponym? A person after whom a discovery, invention, or place is named or thought to be named. There are very few eponyms in the hunting industry. A product so popular and so functional, it becomes the act of the product. So how does something become an eponym? It's the best, hands down. What is an eponym?
All right, guys, we're back. Thanks for sticking with us. Those of you that have.
I stayed.
I'm still here.
Glad to have you guys. So, as we were talking, we just got done talking about Mike's buck and that you're planning on heading back up. Yeah, you still have an archery buck tag, right?
Yeah. The way everything works out, maybe like the weekend after Christmas, maybe try and go up there and give it the last free for all. Try see if anything walks by.
Right. Yeah.
Hopefully it's not 2 degrees out like last time I
Slick
did
back?
that.
You want to
Yes,
slick back?
that would be great. Maybe that's the time.
Oh, that would be something. We'd have to have you back on and bring him in here. Yeah, I don't know. For me, I mean, obviously my archery tag is filled and that I wasn't able to fill my firearm tag here in Wisconsin, but I still got an archery tag in Illinois burning a hole in my pocket. So hoping to get down there yet before the season's over. So we'll see how that goes. It's a tough time of year, holidays, and when you got kids and stuff, they got programs, and there's just always some sort of Christmas party and things like that going on. But I know Jason Schrader and I, team member Jason, we want to get back down there some point this season and see if we can't fill those tags yet. So
How long do you got?
I don't know, sometime in January.
Nice.
So we got some time. But it goes by quick though, as everything does this time of year.
Oh, God.
So, but Jesse, let's talk to you a little bit here.
Sure.
You were able to fill your Wisconsin archery tag and your firearms tag, and Hunter got 1 buck this year.
Yes. And a buck and a doe.
Let's start with Hunter first here. So you guys, those of you who follow the page in that know Hunter's kind of one of our, we call him a junior member of the team in that.
He tells everybody.
Proud junior member.
He is extremely proud.
And the kid's super successful, and that's doing great part too because of, you being a great dad and taking him out. And, for those of you who remember Jesse here, he also is the captain of Hunter's Dream charter boat fishing out of Port Washington, Wisconsin. And Hunter's a big part of that too. He's kind of your first mate a lot of times. You guys are out there quite a bit. He's an accomplished fisherman and hunter and outdoorsman. And like I said, it's all due in part to you. But this year, now Hunter's taken quite a few deer already. How old is Hunter now?
He actually will be 13 next Sunday.
Next Sunday he'll be 13. And how many deer does he have under his belt?
Oh, I got him.
At age 12.
I started taking him out where he can actually
Turn your
shoot.
microphone just a little bit towards you.
Where he can actually shoot when he was 9.
Okay.
Roughly over 10.
Wow. That's crazy.
At least probably 10.
Yeah. And now this year, he's done it with, in terms of archery, he's been using crossbow.
Yes.
And that.
He's going to be getting into the compound. I didn't even start using the compound until I was 15. I know the poundage and all that stuff. I want to make sure he can successfully pull it back,
Right.
Make a good shot. I don't want him to be struggling and stuff. So
Right. No, and that's completely understandable. 100%. I mean, that's a very, very big part of it when it comes to youth hunting and that. They have to be able to draw back. I think it's like 35 or is it 40? Somewhere around there.
And I know it's not under 35.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, because and that deer still needs to be pretty close if
Yeah.
you're trying to get a pass through and things like that. But this year was different because he had been hunting out of like a blind in that, right?
Yeah, we have a lot of like rednecks or muddy blind stuff on a property the landowner Matt is put up.
Sure.
But this year we do have a couple ladder stands, but they all been single. So this year, August, we put up a 2-man. Only because I actually won the ladder stand actually at a outdoors banquet at a church group outing, outdoors, cookout or whatever. I actually won a rifle and a ladder stand that night.
Nice.
It was actually my birthday the same day too.
Did Mike crap out that horseshoe and shove it up yours sideways?
So we put that up. We put up in a spot. We've never really hunted. A landowner had a 1-man there, but we wanted to put one in a thicker cover. And I was like, well, that's a perfect spot. Nobody's really hunting it. So let's put up that 2-man there. That way we both can sit up in that one. I've never even hunted that area because I'm always with him. So
Yeah. Well, this is a big deal because of the fact that, like, okay, it's one thing to get it done when you're in a box blind. You can get away with a lot more movement. You have to be a lot more still in the stand. Just in general, the movement is a big part of it, even making noise and stuff. So for him to get it done at 12 years old, I mean, I remember when I was 12 years old, and my dad can, if he's watching, he can attest to this too.
it's a bump on the side of your head.
Maybe not so much for me, but especially for my brother, that, keeping a 12-year-old still enough in a stand to not spook deer is a big deal. So this year he was able to get it done out of that double stand with you.
With the doe, yes.
Yeah.
First outing,
Sure.
no. He learned quick that you can move a lot less when there's deer looking right at you at 20 yards and you're only 18 feet up,
Right.
exposed.
Yeah, and that's the thing with a lot of those double stands. They're not super. A lot of them aren't very tall either.
No.
They don't get you up there super high. But I mean, that's a huge accomplishment. And so I fully expect next year at age 13, he's going to shoot a really nice buck out of that stand because it seems that's his progression. He does it always. I mean, for as long as I've known you and been following this, Hunter's hunting career here it's everything kind of like in progression.
Oh, you can see from his
like-
first year till now, he's went up.
Right. So this year, okay, now the difference was we're in an open stand, shoots a doe. It's obvious next year will be a buck. I mean, that's just
I'm hoping.
that's just the way it seems to go. Like,
He's way more progressed at 12 than I was, and a way better shot than I was at 12.
well, how much time did you spend out hunting? When you were 12 years old, like
my dad-
that's when I started going out.
My dad had me out in the woods. This is back when they actually had hunting parties, groups. We had groups like 20 guys, deer drives.
Sure.
I sat in a tree stand and stuff that with him since I've been 7. But
Yeah.
physically, when I passed hunter safety, it was, here's a gun, go out in a tree and start hunting by yourself.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly. Well, that's pretty awesome. So he got the doe archery.
Yep.
And then was it youth hunting or was it?
He didn't do the youth hunt this year just because he did the last couple years.
Yeah.
He wanted to save that buck tag for gun season.
For gun season,
I kind of
sure.
explained that to him. Like, okay, you've done a youth season 3 years now.
Yeah.
It's kind of like just gun season. So he's like, I'll just wait for a gun.
Nice. And
Didn't get nothing with the gun, but, he had limited time just with how
Right.
schedules was.
sure. But I mean, yeah, that's great. I mean, and we're so proud of Hunter. Like, what a great kid. I mean, this kid's got an outdoor career laid out in front of him in that. And again, this is all due in part to you, for you taking the time, raising him the right way, always outdoors.
He does all day sits,
Whether
no
it be
problem.
on Lake Michigan or whether it be in the woods. I mean, you guys are doing it, and I commend you for that.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Big props here, Luke. If we could. No, I don't care about your beer. A round of applause, please. That's our producer, Johnny on the spot.
Yeah, deer hunting, ice fishing. The kids,
Yeah, ice fishing too, right?
you ever teach them to turkey hunt?
He's got turkey too.
Have him
Oh
come
yeah,
up
he's
with
got
us.
he's got two of them.
He'll come up there. He has no problem.
Yeah.
Show us how that's done too.
No, he's been tremendous. I mean, you sit out there an hour before light till dark. No tablets, no nothing, just
Yeah.
wilderness, and he loves it.
That's great. Hats off to you and hats off to Hunter. Now let's get into your season here. You were successful, like I said earlier, during archery season and gun.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit. Let's start out with archery. Obviously, how'd that go?
That was good. Actually, all 3 deer that I shot, 2 with the bow and then with the gun, was out of that stand that we put up together.
Oh yeah, that same one.
Yep. Hunter got his buck on the north end of the property, but all 3 of mine came out of that. And I don't know, it was just seemed something special. That stand, getting it put up together was awesome, But the first time I hunted out of it, the first time seeing it was an albino squirrel.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We only seen that squirrel out of this stand on that property. So it just felt like a good luck charm.
Sure. Do you have any black squirrels by you?
Yes, tons.
Yeah, so do we. Just absolutely.
If anybody wants a
Tons.
squirrel hunt, have a field day.
Right. We have so when I started hunting our property 22 years ago on that, like occasionally, maybe once or twice a season, you would see a black squirrel. And when you saw it, you'd be like, oh,
Cool.
that's going to be awesome. Like use it as it meant a buck was going to come in or something,
Right.
You're like, this is good luck. My God, there's so many freaking black squirrels around. In fact, it was a few years ago, Dan Small, I posted a picture of I wouldn't say it was a black squirrel, but he's made a post with a squirrel that was in a darker phase, gray, and that. I mean, this is no knock on Dan. Dan's a great guy, and that appreciate him immensely, and that. And I said, I don't know if that's a black squirrel. And then I sent them a bunch of pictures, and that I posted that. No, that's a black squirrel. Like am I
black.
right? I mean, we got so
Yeah.
many, it's ridiculous.
They're so big.
Right.
so
I mean,
big,
for
too.
being Eastern, they're just Eastern grays
Yeah.
and that. They're just a black phase in that. And the genetics have just ran rampant.
Yeah.
They're not as big as the big fox squirrels we have running around.
No.
Those suckers are.
You know when those are coming.
Right. Yes. I mean, those are the ones that sound like deer coming through.
Yes.
And that. But so anyways, so you saw that and you got your archery buck.
Yep. That.
How'd that go?
I was by myself that Friday, left work after working overtime, and we didn't have a camera at the stand, so we didn't know what was coming in. And Matt has actually done a tremendous. I actually want to applaud him. It's his land. He allows us to hunt there, and he's done just a tremendous job with this property since he bought it. Just with plots, herder control, because it was just overrun with those food plots, stand locations, just everything. So I'm just glad to be able to hunt there, me and Hunter, thanks to Matt.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was just an afternoon hunt, bunch of does. I think the first buck I seen was at like 1:30. It was middle of November, and I got in there at like noon. But if I seen this buck, Matt, we were just talking about call bucks. Matt, had this buck on the picture. He's like, you get a shot at him, please take him out,
Sure.
Out of that stand. Yeah, here about an hour before dark, here he comes, made a scrape, came in right behind me, and I'm like, well,
He had a funky rack to him.
he did, but he was older. The guy, I mean, he was, thick bases like yours. I mean, just a thick rack, and I think I had him age. He was like 4.5 or whatever.
Yeah.
That day said he was. So I don't know if he was going to mount to much more than what he was, but he was really he had a lot of stuff, small points, split brow, like really split. Like he was all over the place.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, he was a cool buck. Again, like when it comes to call buck or whatever,
Big body.
I don't think like he was like all of a sudden he's spreading the genes and then you're gonna have a whole bunch of bucks
Yeah.
like this.
I don't know.
You know, who knows why he had a funky rack or whatever, or what, you know.
I just I guess what the landowner wanted. Like to see him take him
Well,
out.
exactly,
and
right, yeah.
I'm happy to help out that way.
Right, how often, you know, that's often the case.
It was a nice 8-pointer. Like I said, big body. I mean, he was, you know,
Yeah, he
like
was
that wide.
really nice buck.
So yeah, I was happy with him.
Then gun season. I don't know how deep you want to get into the story.
No,
And that's completely up to you. And we probably should have talked about this.
no, it's all right.
beforehand.
No,
but
it's all right. No, gun season was good, but it almost wasn't very good. No, we sat all day Saturday, seen a lot of deer. I sat in a different stand, you know, plenty of deer, but then I sat in that double stand Sunday morning, and I had a run-in with our number one hit lister, but it was before season, like 20, 30 yards, but you know, I couldn't shoot. It was before light or whatever. Anyway,
Yeah.
my dad sends me a picture message at like 7:30, and unfortunately we weren't hunting together. But my my half brother and Michael and his wife was up there hunting with him. He shot a nice 8-pointer. You know, I'm happy for him. Just tremendously happy.
Yeah, you sent me that picture. Yep.
Bad thing was though, like, and again, it's not the message, phone call anybody wants to get. An hour later, my sister calls and he had a major heart attack out in the woods, like bad. I don't think me and Hunter ran out of that woods as fast as like we were and this is 120 acres. We were on the opposite side. Like it was full sprint to the trucks. We were still like an hour and 40 minutes away, but yeah, hours to live. Like if my brother wasn't there, my dad wouldn't be here.
Sure.
Like it was scary. Anyway, they surgery, put a stent in. It's like almost 100% blockage, you know, of his artery, and people up in Wausau, they did a good job. Like we were able to have a Thanksgiving. He's still here.
Right.
You know,
That's amazing.
I
I know I got in the text message in the tree and I was like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, come on, like 2024 has sucked enough.
Yeah, on your guys'
for
end.
all of us on this team, and that it's like this is incredible, and I'm really sorry to bring up
No, you're fine, man.
bad memories. Like I said, we should have talked about it ahead of time if you wanted to bring it up or whatever. But
No,
the good news is he got to the hospital and
he's watching. I think he's watching right now.
Yeah, I'm sure he is, as he often does. Especially, you know, he's the first one to like and love that's anything with you and Hunter on the page, that's for sure. So shout out to Mr. Bricco. We're glad that you're still here with us. And shout out to the EMTs and paramedics or whatever and the staff at Wausau Hospital there to keep him here with you and that you guys, that he was already out of the hospital by Thanksgiving.
Yeah, they kept him. So I stayed overnight. My sister, everybody was there.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I stayed overnight Sunday into Monday. He was stable, walking around. You know, he was going to be leaving the next day, you know, discharging him. Mm-hmm. And we got, I don't know about you guys down here, but up there it was like pretty coming down snow on Monday morning.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's like, and we flew up there. We had all of our hunting clothes on. Like we left everything at the land, me and Hunter. He's like, just leave. Like I'm going to be coming home tomorrow. So he's like, you got to go back to the land and get your stuff. Why don't you go hunt the rest of the day?
I think you worded it a little bit differently. Me, like what the hell? He was kind of like, what
He
the hell
did.
Are you doing?
He's like, I'm fine. You know, he had some other words like, because he's seen the weather. It's hunting season. He was mad because he felt like he ruined our hunt.
Yeah, that's
Gary says he's watching. Thanks, guys. Love the show.
I love you too, Gary. You've been
Love
a
you,
big,
Dad.
yeah. We appreciate you, and we're glad to hear you're on the mend and still with us, still with Jesse and the family. So,
But no, I mean, different words. So I listened once,
as you should, as a good son.
twice, maybe 3 times I listened. Anyway, I left the hospital at 10 o'clock, drove through that snow. I got to the land at noon, and I was able to sneak in. I went right back into that ladder stand where I had that encounter because I knew it was thick. Weather said it was going to be stopping around 1 o'clock. I'm like, well, if anything's going to move, hopefully it'll move after this weather's passed. Mm-hmm. I wasn't, like I said, I was in the stand in an hour, and I turn, and about 80 yards away, I just see Rack walking. I'm like, is this really happening? Like, I've only been in here an hour. And
it's the middle of the afternoon too.
1:30.
Right, yeah.
And, I kept, and here's the thing, with that weather, I kept caps on my scope, until I was ready to shoot. And I had small opening, and I took the caps off, and I got him. I had to yell to make him to stop, but everything started fogging up or whatever with that weather, and I just made out about his body, and I let her fly, and he dropped, and like no tracking, instantly down, and like first person I call, my dad. And I just couldn't believe my biggest buck yet. And yeah, I listened to him, and yeah, it was just everything worked out. I mean, I didn't even want to go hunt, but yeah, I just wasn't in the mood. But I'm glad I did.
Yeah. That's amazing. And it was a nice big 10-pointer.
11.
11-pointer. That's right.
It had a little split on the brow.
Right.
Enough to, I counted
I was going to say,
it.
this is the year for, yeah, there it is. Yeah, he brought it up there. Really nice buck. I was going to say this was the year for 10-pointers, but I forgot that one's got a little extra points.
It was I don't know if everyone called it a
Mike
point,
got a
but
10-pointer. You got a 10-pointer. I got a 10-pointer. Nick got a 10-pointer.
Yeah, Nick's was nice too. Nice big one, but no,
It's normally 8-pointers for all of us in there. It was nice for us to shoot a bunch of 10-pointers.
Everybody
10 or 11-pointers this year.
the group has done amazing this year. I feel like,
Oh, yeah.
since I've been a part of it, this bow gun season has been great for all of us.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, and I had plenty of opportunities during gun season and that, and really only had one opportunity at a good shooter in that, and it just didn't quite come together. But I mean, there was plenty of other opportunities. It was a great season. I'm not disappointed by any means. Like I said, maybe still get down to Illinois yet, and
That's been
from
expensive.
the land of giants, as they say.
No, our landowner actually had property down in Illinois, and he shot a really nice
There's
one.
some really good bucks down there.
No, it's been an expensive season for me.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're getting
I get hunters. When I show them the picture that we were going after, I said, if this buck comes and you get a shot, I will be shorter. I'll shoulder mount it for you.
yeah.
Well, we were in a stand at 3 o'clock, and well, you got it done.
That's awesome. Yeah, tell us a little bit more about that one.
So I was working overtime, and I got the picture on the camera or whatever. The nice buck. We had nice 8-pointer that we have pictures
And I
of.
apologize. I should have had that picture brought up here too.
No, it's fine.
Hunters.
At 8:30, comes through this stand, and I'm like, okay, there's a chance. Like, it's a Friday. If he's coming through this morning, he might come back through this afternoon. So left work, and Hunter was sick that afternoon. Picked him up from school.
Sick.
Dr. Buck, he was seeing a doctor. No, I showed him the picture, and I said, we're going to this stand. This buck came through this morning. We have a good chance on killing this buck, and it'll be your biggest if, we get a chance at him.
Right.
I think we got in there at noon, seen 2 deer, probably at 12:30, just seen the bodies, had a fork horn around 1 o'clock come behind us. I did some buck grunts, hit the rattle bag together, and I turned, look out the window to my left, I told Hunter like that deer came through this way, going that way. I said, if we see this buck, there's a good chance he's going to come from that direction back through this afternoon. 15 minutes after doing all that, I look and I just see the rack and body, like he's 50 yards and he's walking right. I'm like, okay, Hunter, you need to get up. Like this is happening right now. And there's a nice 3-4 good sized pine trees right next to the blind we were in. And I'm like, he's going to hit the trail. He's going to come right behind there and good chance he's going to hit the water hole. And as soon as he got behind those pine trees, he was able to stand up, get set out the window, and he's out the side window, and we have those up and down windows.
Right.
So I'm looking in the up and down one. He's up there, and I'm watching. And as soon as, and I could easily, I'm like, he's right there, take him. And as soon as that, I see those fletchings hit, I'm like, I knew it was my, like, it was instant tears because I knew it was money. Like, he's not going, and he didn't. He kind of ran back to where he was, or where he came from, and not even 40 yards, 35 yards maybe from where he shot it, crashed. I'm like, oh, that was awesome. Because I knew exactly like where he had like this deer is done.
Yep. Another fantastic season for Hunter, that's for sure. Like unreal. And what did that buck end up being?
It was a 9.
Nice 9-pointer.
Yeah, he pointed that. It's another split brow.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you guys go back, you guys can see those pictures in that. And if you're following us, all the pictures are up.
It's actually kind of, I'll have to send you the picture on Messenger, but it was kind of funny looking back through our camera pictures. I actually have a picture, it's in the dark, but of the buck I shot with my bow and Hunter's buck. My buck is facing this way. Hunter's is facing that way. They're kind of facing off in the picture.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
In a trail camera.
In a trail camera pic.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to see that. That's
was
pretty
so-
cool. And you guys got them both. That's pretty cool. Sounds like a great property, that's for sure.
No, Matt's done. And we were just so happy to be there. We're happy to help out and just planting the trees, food plots, herd management, just everything that he allows us to do up there. And we're us to be able to help out and show Hunter like all the work that goes into it. Like,
Oh, yeah. And
it's amazing. And kudos to Matt for allowing us to share all these memories.
Yeah. You took your son up this year one time, didn't you?
Yeah, early in the season for archery, we went up and, practice runs. He's 8. So, yeah, I'd take him out there, set up the blind. We actually saw deer this time.
Nice.
Better than the last
last
2
year,
times
too,
we
yeah.
took. It's usually it's easier with like on like T-zone or something like that.
Yeah.
Just to,
You don't have to get so close.
right. But then we ended up not ever seeing anything. I'm like, it's usually better than this. It's like,
I swear.
and so yeah, he was excited because we saw 2 different deer. He got to watch a buck, maybe 50 yards, 60 yards out in front of us, but it was kind of just wandering around for a while, eating on the ground. So I mean, he got to watch it for a while, coming in and out. So yeah, that was nice to share it, nice and simple.
Did you get the
Very
shakes?
relaxing.
Was he shaking?
No, there was one the one time where it was like, put it down, get down, because there was a doe that came from the side.
Well, you were up.
And
This
see-
was during an antlerless.
No, this was just this year, early in the year, like
for archery.
either early October or late September, something. We went up there just for
That's
one
right. I
afternoon.
remember
Comfortable weather.
So he didn't get to see it because it came off my left side, and I'm like, it's right there. It's a small doe, but it's fine. I was all prepped to shoot that anyway, and I'm like, it's fine. And he's getting down, and I'm like, he's like, I don't know. He's like, instantly he's been quiet and stuff, and then he's like, well, where is it? Where? He's like,
Stick his
I'm
head
like,
out.
no, it's right there.
It was right there.
And it was, and it actually he did fine. He did great, and it ended up being that if anything, the deer just got weirded out that there was suddenly a blind there that's never been there before. It wasn't like he had it set up the week before and then came up and hunted out of it. So
Right.
it kind of just got a little leery and just kind of just wandered off the other direction. But
He got excited.
yeah, I was happy you got to see the buck stand around and walk around and actually see a live deer right out in front of us, like moving around. I'm like, this is what it's like. Well, we can't shoot it. It's too far away. He's like, well, why don't you shoot it? I'm like, it's pretty far away. I'm like, we can't. So
That's
yeah.
awesome that he gets excited. They got excited like that.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's I mean, that's why you get them out there early and that, so that they get that excitement for sure.
But I know next year too. My daughter has been talking. Now she wants to go too. So she's 7. So next year probably I'll take her out earlier in the year so she can try it out.
Set the blind up earlier.
Yeah, maybe get the blind up a couple weeks before.
Leave it up.
and
Just
Just
leave it there from turkey hunting.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking Spencer out next year.
Awesome.
At 7 and that.
Should be
start
getting a lot of
that
good pictures
practice.
then next year.
Oh, there'll be pictures. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where like, yeah, maybe we should start hanging a few more double stands out there and that, you know, start getting them up there. I mean, yeah, it's 7 years old, maybe not yet, but you know, start thinking about it anyways,
Yeah.
getting them set up. So, but yeah, I would say overall it's been a great season for all of us. I can't complain. You know, anytime you can put a buck down. Nick Faber's got 2 really nice bucks this year. He'll be on the show next week, co-hosting with me. We have Paul Williams and Aaron Williams. You might know Paul Williams better as Coot from Coot Lures. They're going to be on the show next Thursday. So we're excited to have those guys on because we're getting into ice fishing. Jesse, I know you've been out a few times already.
Oh yeah.
The last 2 weekends, haven't you?
Yep. Tomorrow too.
Tomorrow as well.
Saturday is. You guys want to come out Saturday?
Well, isn't it supposed to be like raining all day on Saturday?
Fish don't know it's raining.
How's it been for you so far?
It's been good. A few times we've been able to get out on 2 different lakes. We've caught fish, so that's the bonus.
Yeah.
But nobody's gotten wet, so everything's been safe.
Not till Saturday when it's raining all day.
I'm still gonna be safe. It's not the wet that I could.
No,
care
but you
about.
got wet.
Yeah, but yeah, if people are talking about ice fishing, starting tomorrow up in Oshkosh, go up at the EAA. They have the Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo. I think Coot might actually even be up there.
I think he is, yeah.
So if you want to see him
it's a
beforehand, go up there. Doors open 8, 9 o'clock or whatever. That's Friday through Sunday. A lot of good seminars going on. A lot of people to talk to if you want to get into ice fishing, especially safety stuff.
Sure. And I know you guys are real big on that too. You guys use the picks and stuff like that.
Me and Hunter both got float suits. We have our ice picks, spud bar. I mean, if you're going to go out early ice, don't go out by yourself. Don't check out new lakes by yourself. That's just me personally.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Hunt with fish with a buddy, and just be safety about it. If you're unsure about a lake, wait till it gets a little bit colder. Go to familiar lakes that maybe freeze up a little bit sooner.
Well, what kind of sucks right now, at least here we are in Wisconsin and that right now, we have sub-zero temps all day and that. Like, we have below zero temps all night long last night and that. Wind chills 20 below. Just outside before the show and that, it was like 4 degrees outside.
It's cold.
Making great ice, right? Saturday, it's going to be 40 degrees and raining.
I don't think that's going to hinder anything because a lot of people got to understand it's colder longer throughout the day than it is warmer.
I understand that, but I mean, in terms of like, how does that affect the ice in terms of, when they talk about ice honeycombing and that? Is that more like with snow that creates the honeycomb?
The honeycombing it's more of like late season, but it starts from underneath, water warming up, everything starting to deteriorate from the bottom up.
Okay.
So in that you have to get a lot of rain to do that. Consistent rain, consistent warm weather, warmer water going in than when it's sitting on top.
Sure.
So I don't think you have to worry about any of that. But right now you have to worry about goose holes. A lot of those are on lakes that I was on. It might be sub-zero out there, but if you've got 25, 30 mile an hour winds, a lot of those goose holes might not freeze up or freeze good enough to walk on. You might get a skim ice over it. So
Right. It might look like it's safe, but all of a sudden, boom,
yeah.
you're going through.
So take your time out there. Wear the gear. I mean, if you don't have float suits, wear a life jacket. They have awesome safety gear. I think a lot of places actually sell throw bags with ropes in them now. I think HT makes even one. In case you're out there and you can toss somebody a rope, big of rope. I mean, just take your time out there and really watch where you're going. If this snow, you can see wet spots. Look for that stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely. So be safe out there, guys. I know we're making ice right now, and everybody's itching to get out on the ice. If you've already filled all your buck tags and doe tags and things like that, if your freezer's full of venison, now you want to fill it with walleyes and crappies and perch.
Oh, yeah.
I get it. Bluegills. I'm itching to get out there. Just be safe about it. Be smart. Don't drive your Jeep Cherokee out on Lake Puckaway with 4 inches of ice. 4 inches is not enough for a vehicle. It's not. It's really not. I wouldn't even take a ATV out there on 4 inches. There's plenty of guides out there. Just be smart about it, guys. Be safe. Be there for your families, your kids, your friends and stuff. Don't take a risk. No fish is worth it.
No.
But by all means, yes, you can.
You can fish.
You can fish. You just be smart about it.
Yeah.
Like we said. So good luck with that. I'm looking forward to it. I hope this is a great year for ice fishing. The last couple of years has kind of been, it's been tough. I mean, super warm
Last
winters
year was the
and that.
worst.
Yeah, last year was really, really tough. But I'm super excited about getting out there this year and spending more time out on the ice than we did last year for sure. So I know we're going to do our team ice fishing trip.
Yeah, we haven't
gotta
talked
plan
about that yet. We got to get that planned.
I know. And now it's like, well, we already got ice. Last year at this time, it was so far off.
We had ice and then it was gone because I remember last year I was ice fishing a second week in a gun hunting.
That's right. Yeah, you were.
But then we had some warm stuff and rain and that it was gone.
Even where we were last year in that, like we stayed on the lake, but we had to drive down the road to find a spot to get on the lake because we had like straight up open water outside the back
it was going
door of our
fast.
place. And and it was dwindling fast. And that was still in
February.
Early February, beginning of February, not late February or anything. That was early February. So, I'm looking forward to getting out on the ice and, catching fish, catching a buzz. It's all good. So, all right, guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Midwest Racks and Rods Outdoor Show. Have a drink for that.
How's that? Is that any good?
That Redemption bourbon is real nice.
Good.
Really nice, Clark.
I was feeling festive.
With that said, if you guys are new to the show and you haven't yet checked us out on YouTube, I'd really appreciate it. We'd all love it very much if you give us a little subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notifications button. You don't have to. We just appreciate you guys watching us when you do, when you can, however you can. We're winding down to the end of the year real quick here. We got a show next week, and then we probably won't have one until after the first of the year. I just want to give a quick shout out to all of you guys who have been following us and sticking with us throughout the years, through the trials and tribulations, and this little fun project that we have that we call the Midwest Racks and Rods Outdoor Show. We really appreciate you guys, and we're growing. Not leaps and bounds, but we're continuing to grow our followers every year. And just want to say thank you to all of you guys. And we wish you all the best in the upcoming holiday season and have fun with your friends and family. We'll see you guys next week when we have Coots Lures on, Paul and Aaron Williams. Until next time, thanks, Jesse. Thanks, Mike, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Always outdoors.